they're doing and why, will tend to do that from a more compassionate place and choose not to work on exploitive products. Of course, if you find yourself in a position like that, then you obviously have choices to make. If you suddenly discover that something's being done that you
Mhm.
weren't
Yeah, I
weren't
think
aware
that
of
in
before.
general, people want more. It's like something that we have in the Western world, and people want more in their private life and in their salary, in what they're getting, in being
Right.
in bigger teams, as you say. So I don't know if
Yeah.
it's specifically for design. I would say that many of the professions are doing so, but
It's
in the
accurate.
case,
Yes.
this is what I
Yeah.
feel. But in the case of design, it's like I'm going back to this movie because I know that we know the mechanism that will create a dependency on the product, that will make people view it more. It will make people to react in some way that is beneficial for the company and not for sure beneficial for the users. And
Right.
we're doing it because it's our job. This is what we're supposed to do.
Right.
We have this, KPI, how
Yeah.
many
Yeah.
times they came in
Yeah.
and how much time they were in the platform, so forth. And sometimes we're, as you said, we're losing track on what we want to really create,
Right.
and how influential we are on the
Hmm.
world, on the technologies that are created. And sometimes we could say, okay, if we will not do so, somebody else will do so, right? So
Yes.
some
Yeah.
other designer will do so. But for me, it's really important because we have these talents. It's
Yes.
so obvious that we're talented. Like I don't know if everyone in the product creation process, product developers, managers, they all feel that they're talented. I'm sure that this word is very attached to designers. They know that they
Right.
are talented. And you're thinking, where should I place my time and talents? And, you
Right.
know, I,
Right. Right.
so
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think you're right. Design, as the ones who are responsible for user psychology, definitely has a lot more to say about what constitutes manipulation, and what constitutes really what we're talking about is user abuse. And I do think that we have a responsibility to again have a point of view and to have done some thinking about what what constitutes crafting an experience to serve people versus crafting an experience to manipulate people.
yeah. And we both agree that once you have the ability to persuade and you have the capability to change decisions, you have
Yeah.
much more impact on the product. While in some cases, especially if you're a young designers or a young team and you don't have that much power in the organization, you're just delivering. That's
Right.
all you're doing.
Right. 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 Yes, I think that's exactly right.
Okay, so I want to ask you about the connection between agile methodologies and how it influenced UX, and
Yeah.
how do you see this change?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a lot there because honestly, Agile and UX are both they're different solutions to the same problem, which is the problem of not being able to get software made. Um, but coming at it from very different perspectives. The UX perspective is very. I think the big difference is that the UX perspective is very holistic. It's very much about looking at the product as a whole, and then making your decisions based on that. Whereas Agile, of course, takes that whole sort of big ball of product and unwinds it and spools it and turns it into a linear sequence of things to be created. And of course, the complaint of designers is that it, creatively, that's not always the way that it needs to go. That often you end up, because you are taking on that work in these little parcels of development time, that you're only solving design decisions in through these very narrow lenses, these very narrow views in the same way. We are, we're getting better at integrating the methodologies. I think that the Agile, every Agile evangelist I've ever had a conversation with about integration of UX and Agile has been very, very positive about the prospect of it and the need for integration of UX and Agile. The challenge is that when it comes to implementing these things in organizations, Agile is often used as an excuse to disempower UX.
Because it's a development methodology, and developers are leading these organizations. It's not only the leadership comes from development, they have lots of power even if they're not leaders, right?
Yeah, well, there are always more engineers than there are designers. So then
Right?
it feels like a bigger, a more urgent question for the organization. What are we going to do with all of these engineers? It's okay if we have a couple of designers in the corner who are spinning their wheels a little bit, but we got to keep the engineers fed
Yeah.
with work to do, and so that then starts to become kind of the overriding concern of the organization, and then engineering, of course, being the ones responsible for the ultimate delivery, are always the ones in the position to be able to finally dictate what is and is not possible.
Yeah.
And
Of
and
course.
it's through that lens in these sprint retrospectives that is where these issues really end up getting debated and resolved between design
Yeah.
and engineering.
I think that what we're missing is this high level view that we had in the past, and now it's like cut into these small sprints, and it's like a manufacturing line that you need to
Yes.
go and create, and